I ate my way to 750 pounds just to prove I was the best gamer in my family. And the worst part? It worked. This is the story of what winning cost me. My name is Oliver. I was the youngest in a house of 5 kids, the smallest, the quietest, the one who got the leftover plate and the hand-me-down everything. But there was one thing I was never second at: gaming. I beat every single person in that house, every time, without trying hard. And every single time, relax, we let you win. You're small. We didn't want you to feel left out. 63 wins, 0 real losses. And still, according to everyone in that house, I wasn't that good. So I found a way to make them stop saying it. I just didn't expect it to go this far. I signed up for the Regional Gaming Championship without telling anyone. I told my family I was going to the library. Nobody asked follow-up questions. That alone told me everything I needed to know about how they saw me. The venue was packed, 64 players, rows of glowing screens, the smell of energy drinks and tension. Nobody knew me. Nobody had an excuse ready. Nobody cared how small I was. It was just skill. And I dominated. Round 1, round 2, quarterfinals, semis, finals. I won. Clean. Undeniable. The kind of win you can't explain away. I sat at that winner's station and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. It lasted 4 minutes. That's when they called me into the back room. 2 men in polo shirts, a woman with a clipboard. "Congratulations," they said. Then, "Nationals is a broadcast event this year. Sponsors want someone who projects presence. You don't have the build for what the event requires." The slot would go to the runner-up, the person I beat. I walked out without a word, and in the parking lot, the runner-up, the guy I just beat, stopped me. In this game, skill gets you noticed, but size? Size makes people afraid. He got in his car and drove away. I stood there holding a winner certificate that meant nothing. And something in me broke. Or maybe something in me decided. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the dark, running the same thought over and over. I was the best player in that room. I proved it. And it still wasn't enough. Not because my skill was lacking, because my body didn't match their idea of what power looked like. So I made a decision that felt logical at the time. If size was the language they understood, I would learn to speak it. The first week, I just ate more. A second plate, a protein shake, late-night snacks. Nothing dramatic, but every time James called me small, I ate more. Every time they said, "We let you win," I ate more. Every time someone in a tournament looked at me like I was easy, I ate more. It wasn't hunger. I need you to understand that. It was never hunger. It was something colder, more deliberate. It was the same focus I brought to a match. I was running a strategy. The target was a number. The number kept moving. 150, then 200, then 250. My family noticed at 180. James looked across the dinner table one evening, and for the first time in my life, he looked at me. Not past me. At me. Finally growing up, huh? I told myself that feeling didn't matter, but I held on to it like water in a drought. At 230 pounds, something changed in my game. A local invitational, 3rd round. A kid, maybe 16, who played like he had nothing to lose. He was beating me. Not by much, but enough. I felt my hands slowing down. My reaction time, which had always been my edge, was half a beat off. I caught myself breathing harder than I should have been. Just sitting there. Just playing. I pulled it back, won by a symbol point, but I thought about that match for 3 days. Then I pushed the thought down, and I ate more. Her name was Priya, my oldest friend, the one who had always believed in me before I believed in myself. 6 months in, she showed up at my door unannounced. I opened it at 260 pounds. She looked at me for a long moment, not with admiration, with something else. "Oliver, what are you doing to yourself?" I told her about the tournament, the back room, the polo shirts, the parking lot. She listened, then said, "They rejected you because of your size, and your response is to change your size?" "Yes," I said, "on my terms." "That's not strategy, Oliver. That's surrender." I told her she didn't understand, that I was in control. She looked around my room, empty containers on the desk, a scale in the corner I checked twice a day, a spreadsheet on my laptop tracking weekly weight gains. "Is that what control looks like?" I asked her to leave. She left, but at the door she turned and said, "I'll be here when you're ready." I waited until she was gone, went to the kitchen, and I ate. 300 pounds came quietly. I barely noticed until I tried to tie my shoes and had to sit down. I told myself it was fine. Adjustment, part of the process. Someone filmed me walking into a tournament, posted it without my knowledge. The caption, "Do not let this guy sit next to you at a gaming tournament." Thousands of people laughed. I watched it at 4 in the morning, alone. Part of me expected to feel humiliated. Instead, I thought, they're talking about you. Nobody was talking about you before. I closed the phone, went back to sleep. That should have been the sign. It wasn't. At 450 pounds, I woke up one morning and my left arm wouldn't move. Not metaphorically, literally would not move. It lasted 3 minutes, then it came back. I didn't tell anyone. I told myself it was the way I slept. A week later, mid-match, my vision blurred for 30 seconds. The kind of blur that isn't tiredness, the kind that makes the room feel far away. I sat very still for a long time after. I thought about calling Priya. I thought about stopping. Then I picked up my controller, because regionals was 12 weeks away, and I had come too far to go back. At 500 pounds, my brother Marcus came to find me. Not to challenge me, not to say we let you win. He stood in the doorway of my room and said, "Oliver, I'm worried about you." I looked at him. You don't need to do this to prove something. And I said, "You're only worried now because you can't dismiss me anymore." He opened his mouth, then closed it. He walked away, and I went back to the screen. 750 pounds. I walked into that venue and the room changed. Conversations paused. Heads turned. Eyes followed. Not with dismissal, with something I had been chasing for 2 years. Uncertainty. They didn't know if they could beat me, and I watched that uncertainty spread through the bracket like a rumor. The standard chair didn't fit. An organizer scrambled to find another. 12 minutes of the whole room watching me wait. A different version of me would have been embarrassed. I used those 12 minutes to study every player in the room. Body language, pre-match routines, who choked under crowd attention. By the time I sat down, I had already won in my head. The quarterfinals almost ended it. An older player who had competed 4 times before. He didn't look at me once, just at the screen, as if my size meant nothing. That should have impressed me. Instead, it scared me, because players like that, the ones who don't react to intimidation, are the dangerous ones. By round 2, he had found my rhythm. He was reading my patterns, countering them before I finished executing. I went down by 11 points. 11 points with 2 minutes left. I felt my hands going damp. My breathing was off, my arms were heavy. And that thought came back. If I was still who I used to be, I shut it down. Reset. Slowed my breathing to a count of 4, changed strategy completely. Unpredictability against someone reading patterns. I clawed back 8 points, then 3 more, 1 by 1. When the result went up, my hands were shaking, not from excitement, from effort. the kind of effort that used to feel easy. I had to take 5 minutes before the next match, sat in the reinforced chair, breathed carefully, told myself it was fine. I won the finals without dropping. This time, no backroom conversation. The regional coordinator extended his hand and said, "Nationals, congratulations." I waited for it to feel like victory. It almost did. Then came, "We'll need to arrange accommodations for your seating in advance." Accommodations. I drove home alone, and for the first time since this started, I didn't eat. 3 nights before Priya called, I woke up unable to breathe. Not metaphorically. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark for 45 seconds, pulling for air that wouldn't come in all the way. When it passed, I didn't move for a long time. I thought about calling someone. I thought about whether any of this was worth it, whether the person sitting in the dark right now was still the same person who walked into that first tournament and won. Then my phone rang. Priya. We hadn't spoken in 8 months. She didn't say hello. I saw the video of you at regionals. You won. Then, "I'm proud of you." A pause. "I'm also scared for you." I didn't respond, because 3 nights ago I had sat in the dark unable to breathe, and I hadn't told a single person. That was its own kind of answer. The Nationals venue was the largest space I'd ever played in. Elevated stage, broadcast cameras, live stream to 140,000 viewers. I made it through the early rounds on experience and instinct. Then I noticed him. His name was Eli, 19 years old, quiet, methodical. He didn't celebrate wins, didn't react to losses, just moved to the next station and played. Before the finals, a broadcaster interviewed him, asked why he competed. He said, "Because I'm good at this." No story, no trauma, no one to prove wrong, just a person who knew what they were. I thought about that the whole walk to the stage. The match. We sat down, controllers up, countdown from 5. He was everything I feared. Not loud, not aggressive, precise. Every move deliberate, every counter measured. He didn't react to my presence. He didn't flinch at my size. He just played, the same way I used to play. I took the lead early. He closed the gap. I switched strategy. He adapted. I pressed harder. He held. Midpoint of the final round. Tied. 400 people holding their breath. And then the thought I had been burying for a year and a half came up, like it had been waiting. If I was still who I used to be, the me who walked into that first tournament, would I be winning right now? Yes, that version was faster. The reaction time was sharper. The physical stamina was built for this. I had spent a year and a half getting bigger, and in doing so, I had gotten slower. I pushed it down, locked in. 2 minutes. I found one pattern he hadn't seen, used it. He hesitated. Half a second. I took the lead. 1 minute. He came back. 30 seconds. Tied again. 10 seconds. 3. And then, a glitch. A network stutter. Less than a second. An input that registered when it shouldn't have. The point came to me. Buzzer. Winner, Oliver. The arena went loud. I sat completely still. People came to the stage. Cameras, microphones, champion. I heard it. I just couldn't feel it. Because I was watching Eli. He sat at his station for a long moment, hands still on the controller, then set it down, stood up, and walked off the stage like someone who had nothing to apologize for. I caught him backstage. "You should have won," I said. He looked at me. "No, I lost. But you're better." Today, I wasn't. Don't give me false credit. That's worse than losing. He held out his hand. I shook it. And then I said the thing I came to say. Don't change yourself for this. Not for them, not for anyone. Because the moment you stop being who you are, you start losing, even when you win. He held my gaze, then nodded slowly, walked out, and I stood alone in that corridor, national champion trophy somewhere behind me, 400 people still cheering somewhere beyond that door, and I felt nothing. Not empty, not proud, just nothing. Because you can't celebrate something you know wasn't earned. Not fully. The glitch gave me the win, but even before the glitch, Eli was better than me. Not because he was more skilled, but because he was still himself, and I wasn't. I called Priya that night. I told her about the match, about the glitch, about Eli, about the corridor. She listened, then said, "What are you going to do now?" And I told her the truth. I'm going to take care of myself, and then I'm going to win. Both things, not one or the other. She laughed, the real kind, the kind I hadn't heard in too long. Here's what I know now. The family that dismissed me was wrong. The organizers who rejected me were wrong. The voice inside me that said I had to become something different to deserve respect was the most wrong of all. I changed everything about myself. I sacrificed my health, my speed, my friendship, my comfort, my ability to breathe through a full night. And at the end of it all, a glitch decided the match anyway. All of that for a point that wasn't even mine. The version of me they called too small, the one who won 63 matches without trying, the one who walked into a tournament alone with nothing but her skill. That version might have won clean, if I had just believed she was already enough. If you're watching this right now, and someone is telling you that you need to be different to deserve a seat at the table, hear me. The seat was always yours. They just hoped you wouldn't notice. If this story hit you, subscribe. We post every week. Stories you won't forget. Drop in the comments, what's one thing someone told you that you almost believed? Next week, she spent 5 years being told she was too much.